Greetings and salutations in service to the one. I am Amber Dawn Star, practical mystic, energetic activist, and for over 34 years, master breathologist. Welcome back to my channel. Hi, well, I made it again. Oh boy, this is a little more of an experiment now. We'll see how this records. I'm going to upload it, but I'm not plugged in. I'm just doing it on my battery. So we'll see if this comes out. I don't know. I'm just I'm just experimenting. Aren't we all? So, today's information, if you will, I asked Spirit what they wanted to say, and I heard children. So, okay, children. Children. If you have millennials, like I do, you might be very challenged with your children. It's really, being a baby boomer and having millennials, it has been quite the experience. So, I just want to say that, I would say a lot of women that become mothers are wanting to do that. And they still, they do the best they can, and they still pass down some of the residue. I've told my children that regardless of what they think about how they were raised, they only receive the residue of the line. I am the one that had the buck stop with me as far as the line is concerned. And mainly it did. I did my best as a single parent with twins. And the masculine that was not involved, the day before I gave birth, he decided to tell me that he had changed his mind. So that began a whole, 18 years of doing it on my own with, help here and there, with some horrifying help from my family. Horrifying, that set the tone for a lot of the shite that has happened with my children and still is. So I personally feel that I did the best I could. And yes, I knew that when I fell down as a parent, I apologized in the moment, which I never heard from my mother until her deathbed. And I was abused as a child. My children were not abused. However, they think that yelling at them was abuse. And that was only after asking nicely like 5 or 6 times each. But the only thing they remember is that I yelled, "Oh my God," and they feel that was abuse. So the millennials, I don't know if you have millennials, but they're pretty, this generation, okay, so my generation, baby boomers, this was our sign. Millennials, that's their sign. And not all of them, obviously, not stereotyping millennials, but a lot of them, this is their sign. So give me what I want and flip-flop off. Do it anyway. Because, the pendulum of abuse that my generation was raised in, that you could do anything to your kid in front of anybody and nobody would say anything to you, to the swinging of the pendulum that, oh my God, you can't look cross-eyed at your children. For God's sakes, don't ever slap them on the butt, which is what that is for, to get the message across. If you look in the animal kingdom, they don't mess around with their kids. If they're doing something they don't like, they whack them. But we couldn't do that because then, oh my God, people would just flip the fuck out. I'm talking about discipline. I'm not talking about abuse or punishment. There is a flip-flopping difference between punishment and abuse and discipline. There's a big, huge difference. And unfortunately, because of the flip-flopping pendulum, it swung all the way the other way. That, oh my God, you can't touch your kids. You have to give them time out. Sorry, that didn't work. We have a whole generation of children and or adults now that, that's still their modus operandi. That the world owes them a living, that they have every advantage and they take advantage. And, you didn't do the perfect job. OMG. You weren't perfect. Wow. You weren't perfect. No, we're not. No, we're not. I know that I was not perfect. I know that I'm not perfect in my personality, ego self. In my soul, perfect. If I could have done this from my soul, raise them from my soul, perfect. But, I had to raise them with the personality and the ego. And this was a personality myself that had done the work, a lot of the work before my kids were born. But don't let anybody tell you anything about anything of parenting if they haven't done it themselves. If they have not walked in those moccasins as far as what it really means, day in and day out, to be a parent, don't listen to them. If you've done what you feel that was your best that you did, if you apologized in the moment where you fell down as a parent like I did, and you did your best, and they still can't get it, and they're in their 30s now, the later millennials, some of them are in their 40s. Don't take that on. Let that go. That's part of the things that you need to let go now in this time frame. Things that, you're carrying the guilt and the shame and the blame and the flip-flop. After this purge of going deep and going the dark night of the soul, when I have come back up out of it as the phoenix, I've realized that God and I know how I did as a parent. And my kids don't have kids and don't want kids. So, of course, it's easy to blame and shame. And if you haven't ever walked it, of course, way easy. My kids don't want kids because they would rather stay in that position of, blame. And even though I've asked and I've bent over backwards to have if you have anything to say to me, let's sit down. Let's talk about it. No, I'd rather just still blame you. Because if we actually talked about it and had a communication, then they'd see that maybe they are being a little harsh. And I don't know about your kids, but that's a big thing to say, that they're, actually might be wrong. Or their perceptions might be a little off. So if you're a parent and you're struggling, especially with millennials, I know some of you out there that may or may not still be watching this have them. You got to take yourself down off of that cross that they've put you on. We need the wood. That's one of the things, the blessings that I've learned in this last few months is that, you know what? I'm just not going to buy into it anymore. And don't you either. If you know in your heart of hearts and you're good with it with God, then you know what? Everybody has a flip-flopping opinion, right? Especially children that have no idea what it's like to be a parent, to be a single parent. They have no idea. So, regardless, I'm just here to say, take yourself off of that cross. Get down. You have more work to do other than what you've done raising your children. You have more work to do, because if you didn't, you'd be home, which is out of this physical realm and back into your consciousness, energetic realm. If you're still here, you still have work. So I'm still here, so I guess I still have some work to do. I think this is part of it. I feel that this is part of it. Spirit has told me this is part of it, so that's why I'm doing this. But there's a lot of endings now, and there will be, but also beginnings. So I'm attempting now to take joy in the little things. My coffee in the morning, my looking out my window and seeing the birds everywhere, seeing the stream and the river that I'm fortunate enough to live by, getting a phone call from a friend, realizing that the best that I can offer is always what I'm doing, and that everything is here for me. All the things that I've experienced for my growth. So that took some time. That took some time to say, oh yeah, okay. Thanks. Thank you. And that's the whole thing that I'm discovering now, is that you get to say thank you for every single thing. Because the soul is gathering experiences. That's what's happening. Also, clearing karma. Also, doing those kinds of things. But the soul doesn't really care if you're having multiple orgasms or if you're getting hacked to bits. It's all experience that the soul then uses to grow with. So I'm really attempting to be on the multiple orgasm side of that, as opposed to getting hacked to bits. But I've been hacked to bits emotionally. Family, children. Don't let your children or your family flip-flop you up anymore. If you know that you are in your heart and your consciousness, and that's where you are, and that's where you've been, and that's where you are really attempting to stay in, you're doing everything you know to do. You're breathing a holy conscious breath. You're meditating. You're going out into nature. You're sitting on the earth. You're grounding yourself. You're allowing the energies that are all around us to come through, to speak to you. If you can quiet yourself long enough, the ego mind, the monkey mind, if you can quiet that mind, then you start to hear the still small voice. But if you're always out doing stuff and you're here and there and you're just busy and do, it's a little harder. You have to make time every day for you and God to talk and connect. And, there comes a point where your meditation is your breathing every breath. It comes to that. But initially, you have to really practice. It's called spiritual practice because it is practice. And usually that's on a daily regime. Like this. This is a spiritual practice for me. This is pushing me way outside my boundaries as far as comfort zone. And that's what's being asked of us. We're being asked to move out of our comfort zones, to move into clarity, to move into alignment through our heart and our consciousness, and to listen to what Spirit has to say and then follow the directions that you're getting. So don't allow anybody, your family, your children, your friends, your coworkers, your lovers, your relationships, don't let anybody tell you that, you're this, that, or the other. Unless it's positive reinforcement, don't allow it in. Just don't even bother. Just don't even bother with it, because it's not the truth. We'll find out more after we leave our bodies and go to our, life review. There's a wonderful movie called Defending Your Life. It's an older movie, Meryl Streep, and the guy, I don't know, I ever remember his name, but Meryl Streep, Defending Your Life, wonderful movie, basically based on what happens after we leave our bodies. And supposedly there is a life review. And not only do you see all the choices that you made, you get to feel how the other person that you dealt with felt. Either positive or negative. You actually get to walk in those moccasins for a minute and see. And then you decide if, okay, well, I cleared that up, so that's good. Or I need to go back and clear up some more. So just know that it takes a lot of energy to stay in your alignment, because there's so many things right now that are pulling us off, or can pull us off if we allow them to pull us off. You don't have to, but just notice. Step back. Like I said yesterday, step back and get the eagle vision. Take a look at it from a broader perspective. All of it. And with the children, God bless them. Love them with everything I am. They have no idea the kind of love I have for them. And I don't think children that don't have children ever quite get that kind. Unless, your parents were so horrifying that you never, ever, ever, ever want to be involved with children. Which, there's those parents too. I mean, look, we've heard about them on the news recently, haven't we? So just keep going. Don't stop. Don't let them, the bastards get you down. Keep coming back to your heart and your consciousness and your alignment with Source. Just keep coming back to it. If you have to do that 1,000,000 times a day, do it. The only way out is through your heart and your consciousness. That's it. There is no safety zone anymore. And even the people with the big, AR-15s, no, they're not safe either. In fact, they're even more unsafe. Because if you need an AR-15 to think that you're all that, there's some major shite going on. Why don't you go inside and take a look at why you think you need an AR-15 to do anything? The toxic masculine is just, and so prevalent, and it's so, everywhere, and seems to be happening more and more in our country with our parties, with our 2 parties. Why don't we have 3 parties? Real, not like, oh yeah, this is our name, and this is kind of what we do, and no, real parties. Because the 2 that we have, especially one of them, seems to be leaning to the right more than is necessary or wanted. So, children, love them. I know our souls chose each other to experience this time. And all of our children, all of your children, all of you out there that have children, your souls chose each other. So that's what I need to keep focusing on, is the soul aspect, and the personality. That's ego and fear. So I just keep focusing on the soul aspect. And there, we're all good. We're perfect. There is no blame. There is no shame. There is no guilt. There is no fear. It's just love and light. So when I'm feeling a little bit upset, then I have to come back and actually, walk my talk. So I hope this was helpful. I'm just going to keep doing this and see what happens. So, and that's the sign that says, I need to go now. All right. Om Namah Shivaya. In Lakach. Namaste. And El Kalimo. Have a great rest of your day. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.